episode number 9, and I guess it's the last one. It's probably the last one. I finally figured out how to have a high-res camera and how to record on 3 different tracks and how to have a cool background behind me. So now I'm almost a YouTuber. So today we have Harvey Smith, co-creative director. We have Gael Giraudeau, who was with us at the beginning during the vertical slice. He was in the design and production. Then we have Jean-Luc Monnet, visual designer. And then we have Sebastien Mitton, who is the art director of Dishonored. And starting the game now. All right, so this is the last mission of the game.
This is it,
Harvey,
sir.
if you want to talk about
I
some
suspect
context
Havelock
here.
Martin and Lord Pendleton landed there a while ago and went into the light.
Yeah, I mean, we're heading to the lighthouse, and there's a high chaos version and a low chaos
I
version.
remember hearing they had
The game is
Martin
suddenly
thought
super loud.
This place is where they'd hold up if they had to. Anybody going
So Waf, which one are you playing? Full chaos or you're sparing everybody?
I'm kind of like trying to play to the best of my ability, knowing that I'm also speaking
We'll see each other again.
and following what you guys are saying also to the best of my ability. It gave me a new appreciation for YouTubers. I had no idea how hard it is to play and listen and talk at the same time.
She's on the throne.
It almost requires 2 different brains, and I only have one.
I knew you were sharp, Corvo.
Man, it just said low chaos. How are you still in low chaos? You've been killing everyone. It's amazing. We were so generous. We were too generous.
I admit I was very sloppy, so I'm surprised that I'm low chaos.
Going. Battlefield's no place for an old sailor like me.
Sebastien and Jean-Luc,
Good luck.
we like those this treatment so much. There's something about it's smooth. It's kind of like a painting, but it's not just a painting. It's very it's so beautiful. Even 14 years later, which
Yeah, I agree.
it's crazy.
I'm surprised.
You're surprised as well, right? Because
yeah,
I
I'm
thought when I
surprised as
played it, I was like, is it the high-res version that we ship later or something? Because I know we did something like this on the console, but this is just the original PC version. It's incredible.
That's great. I remember doing the reference in London with Victor and Jean-Luc, and we were taking a lot of pictures around the river, because there's a tide here in London, which is quite uncommon on a river because it's connected really close to the sea. So the tide was revealing really nice texture of dirt and moss and stuff, and all the stones getting the water on the water. It was marking, the level of the different tides. It was really interesting to take picture there, and that's what we analyzed then with I think it was Yannick Gombard who did all the natural area here before you start the more metallic and concrete stuff. And that was great to do to base our materials on real photography. But instead of just opening the photography, we then analyzed and selected some part of the cracks, the way it reacts to the sun or to the water, the glossiness of each material. And we did all this job to try to make it our own version. We some people were saying it's painterly, etc. It's just that we synthesized elements and we display only what is needed for the eyes. And otherwise, here in this view, it will be super noisy, full of stones and gravels and moss and stuff if you do just photography. At that time, because now the technology has evolved in the new engines that we are working with, or the new Unreal engines, it's PBR, it can take scans directly, which is good also, but for our purpose, where you have to plan, an attack or understand this guy there is doing a patrol, I want to be able to read. And doing too much noise and photography texture was killing everything.
Yeah.
It was breaking the legibility of the levels. So that's why we try to do our own version of realism. We call it realism because in painting it's called realism, but it's not photorealism.
As a result, it's really timeless. I mean, this is 14 years old. I think you can play it today, and it's just perfect. I also appreciate how there is some sort of backlighting there, some sort of bloom or tone mapping or whatever it's called, but it's not overdone. It's just at the edge of, when it bleeds too much, you can tell. This is just perfect. Also, I have to say this. I doubt this is Victor Antonov's drawing, but it definitely has that. You can tell that there was some inspiration from his industrial style, right? There's a bit of a CT17 here with the big cables and everything. So that's really cool.
It's the operation layer, and regarding the painting for the texture, it's like each texture is an analysis and choice. And it's funny because the technique meets the art direction, because as we get rid of details and we make choices, it doesn't look noisy. So it was really a choice from Seb with the help of Victor. And it's not about Photoshop filters, it's really some decision you take, and about values and lighting and the balance between all those stuff. And also the silhouette of the guys, and we really work. We put a lot of love in silhouettes.
Yeah,
because this is the first thing you see in the distance, and you understand if it's a guard, a civilian, a friend, whatever. So that's really important. Sometimes it doesn't work because it's too dark, but in general, like most of the cases, it helps the player to plan in just that,
This map can be approached from day or night, high chaos or low chaos. It's completely different lighting scheme and readability. And there are so many paths. You can actually go on the cables. You can go through that pipe. Just so many paths into the lighthouse. It's crazy.
Yeah, I've noticed this one. Yeah, I like how this is the very, in a way, formulaic. Ooh. Oh shit, they saw him. Oh no, seriously? Okay, well, I'm gonna start again.
I think it was the watchtower, actually.
Oh, it's the watchtower.
Spotted
Okay.
here.
There is a bit of this formula that we have where you have to infiltrate a place, and it's very intimidating, and you are in that gray area, which is not yet too difficult, but you can observe and you can look around and like make some sort of a plan. And this map really manages that beautifully. All right.
There was those choice you said, also the vertical stuff, the vertical experience, and also there was with Seb and Victor, that was that idea that streets in the world, the streets were like canyon to impact emotionally and visually the player, to make him like feel the oppression, because the metallic layer everywhere is the oppression layer, is the regent layer. And we wanted to have this in the design, and it fits with the it's obviously it fits the purpose of the story.
I think one of the most amazing things about working with Jean-Luc and Sebastien Mitton and all the artists there is like you can plan everything and say, we have a lighthouse at the end. Here's why we want to end on a lighthouse. Here's the name of the mission. And then the first time I saw the mission or the lighthouse, it doesn't look anything like what I expected. It's like this industrial thing that maybe you could imagine in 1850, but it's not like a classic lighthouse, right? It was like, and every aspect of the game, the whale oil tank, everything was a little bit more industrial, different than what we expected initially.
Yeah, that's true.
But plus there's a lot of reuse of assets, and it was a smart way to work, and it makes the unity of this layer, this operation layer.
It's amazing also how like each level tells a story. It's like I know we are talking a lot about art direction here, but like in these times where we focus a lot on the technical aspects of it, like we're trying to move forward with technology, sometimes we can forget that you can tell story with simple things and great art that is focusing on what you want to tell, and you don't need like, you know, extra layers of effects sometimes. That is, yeah, like, you know, player facing, it can sound like, you know, magnificent or wow, but it's not the focus of like emotions you can tell with direction. And I think like this game is like each level has this really unique atmosphere, which is memorable still, you know, these days, and I think it will continue.
Yeah, it participates to create a better experience each time. Ah ouais, stylé.
Good job, Raph.
I know.
We
see,
said
that's,
we play.
that's what happens if I just let you guys talk and I just play. I don't try to intervene. Do you want to talk a little bit about Corvo, because it is of course a very interesting character that took us forever to get right, and like how we got to design the outfits and the mask and all that.
I think Jean-Luc will have some stories about the mask because he spent like almost years on it. The costumes we don't remember exactly because it's
Basically, we took references from folklore of the assassin, and then we analyzed the assassin, and we don't want to redo what everybody would have done.
Yeah, that's true. You did this PowerPoint where you listed all the assassins, Terminator, you know, all the killers, assassins, and that was really interesting to read that. And yeah, go ahead. I think you have.
Do you remember that we did at some point have some of those outfits that remind me of the movie Le Pacte des Loups? What was
Yeah.
what was Le Pacte des Loups in English?
Highwaymen? The Highwaymen, I think.
Maybe.
It's about Highwaymen.
Yeah. And but we had that that hat that did not really fit the world, but we did keep some of the
We kept
silhouette.
the huge collar, for example, but we get rid of the tricorn. I don't know how to say tricorn.
Yeah, the hat.
And at first we were like, what? And then it was good constraint. Create something different.
You know, this research you were talking about where we listed all of the aspects of an assassin and what people associate. This is something we do on every project, and it's so useful. But I will say, during the time we were working on Dishonored, there were like 3 interesting French movies that came out. And one was called The Perfume, remember?
Yeah.
And one was the Brotherhood of the Wolf, I think you mentioned?
That's the one. That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. And there was, maybe this is the same one as The Perfume, but there's one about fictionalizing that Shakespeare didn't actually write his own shit and the city looks so good. That may be The Perfume or maybe something else, but like there were these movies that we looked at and we're like, oh my god, these are they're the time period, but they're also dark and interesting and innovative, and then you add the industrial modern shit on top of it and it's like really kind of unique.
The first one it was that when Victor said, guys, come on, Newton was born at this time. So Newton created a lot of stuff, and then we have issues because it was just a small out of a century. So he said that we can go 100 years later to get some elements, modern elements, at least. Production was to make it credible, you know.
We made our own timeline. We picked up elements from more futuristic and some that were older, and we mixed them up, which gave Dishonored in terms of fashion or look and technology, and that was a good fit. I think that was the smart idea to do that.
Plus, there was those intention that Corvo Atano is like a Latin guy coming from Italy, Serconos, and there was all this story behind him. So, and he was a bodyguard, etc., etc. So it helps to build the guy. And regarding the mask, it was the. At first, we said, okay, let's do something that looks like nothing else, and it was based on Papouasie Islands, where there was some enemy skulls that are kept and decorated with shells and bones, and it became the outsider layer.
It's body relics, in fact, yeah,
Yeah, that's it. Yes.
from Islanders. And but I remember we had those conversations because the hero in Assassin's Creed has the hood, and we were like trying to make a silhouette that doesn't look like Assassin's Creed in black or in dark version, because it was a white version. It was in the past. It was they were talking about doing something in London when we started Dishonored, so we were like, wow, it's too close. We have to shift, and make our own design. So that was motivating. And I remember this conversation where we did this first Dunwall guard with the tricorn and the costume, and Raph said, "Hey, he's a bit weak. Look at Gears of War; they have like big muscles, and when you fight, you have a body response, a body challenge when you look at them and you have to fight them." So we've shifted and add some muscles and big hands and great anatomy. And regarding the hat, I think this is the best, bad feedback that we got, because we were happy with this tricorn and stuff. And by answering Harvey, the answer was, okay, we'll push the research, and we push the research like no other. Honestly, we did tons of research and trying to avoid cliche, and I think that's Harvey that helped us, avoiding all the cliche, and that was the starting point. This hat was the first thing we tried to. We were like, okay, we are too lazy. We have to do the job now, and it was a big pressure. I was super sad that he was like, oh no, the hat, and the US, this hat is yeah. So that's super cool because we did a fantastic job then. We challenged ourselves.
Yeah, you guys dug deeper and deeper, and there were associations with that hat from like the Revolutionary War and things like that.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say earlier, Jean-Luc, I would hear from you or Mit, we call Sebastien Mitton Mit, or Victor, some line about remember this time period. You said Newton was around, and I think if you're not careful as a fan of fantasy and history and all, you can just fall lazily back into a time period that is like, generic fantasy. Are there dwarves back then? I don't know. And it's like, were there castles? With knights. Look, this knight has a suit of armor from the 500, and then he's got a sword that's from 1300 or whatever. And it's like, what a fucking weird blend. And so by remembering this time period, like more like 1850, I don't think many games do that. And so we went into this time period that was, I think, more interesting than like if we had just done fantasy.
Yeah, and if we have used those tricorns, we won't look at this game. We wouldn't be talking about it right now because it would have looked like an historical stuff. It wouldn't have feel the same, and it won't be unique as it looks like it's unique.
It's grounded enough that you feel it could be historical, but it's not. And we have the liberty, the freedom to. We had the freedom to do additional stuff, towers, mechanical, technology. I remember when I was proposing the phosphorus for the tall boys, and Harvey was like, "No, I'm not sure. There's mine of phosphorus somewhere, so we should find something else." And then it went to the wells and the whale oil, which was super great because historically there was something. So we went back to history, digged in the history, and then make our own version again. And so that was back and forth between real references, good ideas, and good feedbacks from you guys. Because otherwise, you find the easy solution,
Just regarding the lore, we had to hunt some whales, so we needed some whalers, so it fits the lore and plus the connection to the ocean with the whole city. Was like okay, everything became so strong regarding the lore.
Yeah, speaking of that, I know our focus today is art, and I'm so glad we're ending on art direction. But man, there's so much lore here. Like, this is when Samuel drops you off, and he's either he loves you because you've been, very restrained, or he's pissed off because you've been a murderer. Man, people really, really react to that scene and where he fires the flare gun if he hates you. And also, Guillaume, or Gael can talk about this, but this mission actually has so many pathways. This is where you can finally end Pendleton, maybe, or Martin. Like, there are different side pathways where you kill other people on the way up to the tower where Havelock is, the lighthouse.
Yeah, and it's not the only place in the game though. Like it's just like it's amazing how today it's difficult to build games that have real consequences, and most of it efficient consequences, because you have lots of games that tend to propose some consequences, but they don't have like either like an important flavor to you, or like it's more or less the same, we would say. But here, like, it was so integrated into the lore, and it was focusing on the real things, on your actions. And so yeah, it's a game, it's not an open world up to date with tons of things to do, but it's like very, very narrative environmental missions where you have you focus on certain events, and then those events give you some other context just after, but they really matter, and you can really recognize them. That's what's amazing, and it's not easy to do. Like, it's still with the new technology we have today, we don't find so many games that have real impact on what you do and change your path. That's what is really an achievement.
Wow. Because it's so expensive. It's so expensive to make a branch.
It's so expensive. It's so expensive. Yeah.
Do you remember, Harvey,
And
when
it's
we
a-
went to Rockville, and we showed the visuals to Robert Altman and Jimmy, and we were a little shy at the beginning, like with the weird, with the tech, like
We were trying to hide it.
yeah,
Like, don't show them that the whales have tentacles. Don't show them the weird lamp over there. Don't look at that. That's too weird. Yeah, we were like that. Yeah.
And then they surprised us. They were like, hold on, show us that part. Oh yeah, we want more of that. We were like, because we were so used to to publishers that were anti things that were a little different or too strange.
I don't want to get on a soapbox here, but I will just say that because games are so expensive, there is an adult in the room problem in video games, where the people with the money trust the people that look good and sound rational and sound very controlled and very safe. They start to see in financial terms, what is our risk management? How, and it's like, okay, that's cool, but this is also software. It's gonna be fucking risky, and this is a video game. So it's kind of like making a movie and rocket science at the same time, and your hope that you can get it down to like McDonald's, where now we changed the bread formula and we saved this much. This is a false hope, right? And so we were used to dealing with those kind of executives, I think, and that was the thing about Bethesda and ZeniMax, is they were willing to take risks on people like us. It was great.
Absolutely, yeah. That's really that was really refreshing, and I think it was for us really the moment where we realized we were paired with the right partner. Of course, it started with their VP Todd Vaughn, who was a big fan of the kind of things of our games. Frankly, he was a fan of Dark Messiah and also of Arcs, and he was the one who knew that we had it in us, and all we needed was the right team behind us, the right horsepower, the right money, and yeah, they really empowered us to do that. So that's really cool.
Yeah, it feels very safe to say that if it wasn't for Todd Vaughn shielding us, this game wouldn't exist.
Yeah, it's true.
Hey, I do want to give Jean-Luc a chance to talk about the maths again, because when you stop and think about The Overseer religious mask, Corvo's mask, the way it gets updated in Dishonored 2, which I love, with the welds and all that. But also the Lady Boyle party with all those crazy fucking masks. And also the Whaler assassins who we said, well, they work in a factory with poisonous fumes, so they have gas masks. Like,
Yeah.
this was like a game of masks, man.
And there was a lot and it was a lot of fun to do. But regarding the assassin, at first we did the cheesy stuff, modernize the plague doctor masks, and we said, let's do something more industrial and more in your face and more like not the comfortable one. So it was the idea behind that. And regarding Corvo's mask, it was kind of the same because people are seeing you, so they are seeing the mask. You don't see your mask oftenly, but you have to figure to make people fear you and don't know what they see. So the idea was to, as it's a skull, the skull is under the skin usually, and there we have the skull that it's supposed to go on the skin. So to not have something goofy, we put some mechanism and to
Make it
let
fit.
you-
So it's too
Yeah.
big.
to make it fit like this. So we put some mechanism in it and a layer of kind of welding stuff. And I was thinking about something really not comfortable that you don't want to deal with. And I was thinking about metallic, la couture metallic.
Welding.
Some sort of zipper.
Yeah.
No, like there are strings, strings and wires, and it's all metal, and it's not comfortable. You see, there's a lot of metal in this, and that's why I use a lot of metal regarding the jaws, etc.
And because the skull, when you look at the skull, it looks dull. There's no expression because there's no skin, there's no muscles, there's nothing. In general, it's goofy, funny. It doesn't, impress me much. So that's why we transform everything.
There was a time where we were worried, by the way, with the looks, right? Remember Harvey when it was really a lot of fine tuning. At some point, we were like, man, this looks like a monkey now, and
Yeah. There was a version that looked very much like an ape or something, and then, or Doctor Doom or Darth Vader or whatever. But it's brilliant. And I was gonna say the lenses being asymmetrical. One has a big lens, one has 3 smaller lenses, and then when you look in the back or the inside, it's that red velvet cloth. And man, people love that. And working with this team was amazing because it wasn't just the 5 of us or whatever. Man, there were people at every level who had good ideas. And so every time you get in the boat with Samuel to go on a mission and you put the mask on, you see the inside of that mask and like, boom, it's on now. And when you get back, the first thing he does is takes it off. And that was just like a nice touch that someone who was animating the boat scene did. It was great.
Yeah.
But I have to say that he never looked like a monkey. It never happened. And I see the term would be metallic stitching or sewing.
Yeah, sewing.
Sewing.
Yeah.
That's the idea of something, grinçant, something like, I don't want to deal with that.
I never forget the first time that I saw someone walk up the cable all the way to the top, and I didn't know you could do that.
It's tough, I'm
fantastic,
sure.
yeah.
There's a cable, so I can go here straight. Yeah. I'm sure it's tough. And when we were on the beach earlier during your playthrough, I was like, should I tell him to use the cable or not? And you can skip everything if you do that.
It's amazing how it's so refreshing to see you play, Raph, because I was wondering myself, these days, do we have this type of games? Like, you are at the last level of the game and the pacing is very slow. It's not meant to be, a super, ending with tons of things happening. It's a stealth game, though. We don't have a lot of stealth game these days. It's something where you don't have a lot of rewards as well. Like, you don't get rewarded all the time. It's just like focusing on situations. And so it's very refreshing because I think like in the modern game days, it's more about like sometimes feeding the player, rewarding it all the time, and this is not at all what we see here. You are rewarded just like with a slow pace and trying again, and finding solutions with
Yeah.
with simple tools, rather simple tools, but very focused.
Yeah,
And
right.
it's a good example of what we don't have right now. We're missing this a little bit, I guess.
Yeah,
in
it's
the
true.
industry.
Though it's one would wonder because I do play in a stealthy way most of the time here in this playthrough. I mean, in this level anyway. But at the same time, the game can be played uh like brute force and like some of
Yeah.
those very very good gamers do. I mean, if I was, that's because I want to survive. That's what, because I play stealthy. Otherwise, I'm not good enough to do all the crazy things that people do and when it goes crazy.
Yeah,
Not
but
only that,
you are like most of the players, like the ones who do crazy shit are the very rare portion of it. So most of the players will have combat, but it's pretty straightforward in this game. It's not like super evolved combat with tons of things happening. So it's like in both cases, I guess, like yeah,
right?
still
I love
the
this.
so
The
efficient.
fact that you can alternating back and forth
Yeah.
between stealth and violence. And one of the smartest things we did was ask Dinga to do playthroughs where he didn't use stealth. Just throw grenades, shoot the gun, act like you're a dumb shooter player. And not that all shooter players are dumb, but you know what I mean.
You said it.
But anyway, because he kept that honest, we were like, make that a fun shooter experience. He was constantly coming back to us going, I know you guys care about this, but don't forget that, It's great.
Yeah, we have both. Yeah, that's great.
So if I do this and then I throw him, is it low chaos? This, I guess, his death counts, right?
Yeah, I remember it was very hard to be high chaos. Like you literally had to kill everybody on your way. Like if you spare one guy, it's like you're already at the limit. I remember this now. It was a. Did you remember, guys? Why this balancing was like that? Like was because of playtest? Like basically, players were already at high chaos too quickly, so we reduced it. Like the dev team reduced it.
We talked about it yesterday, but if you recall, the amount of chaos is sort of divided by which mission number you're in. So in other words, if you have a certain score early on, you might be high chaos, but then if you don't add to it, it effectively decreases over time.
And regarding
I think that's also
the
what
technical constraints that came to, and we had to come with solution. The blade, the sword is something we can talk about, because at first it was like a really classical sword. We did a lot of analyze, and then there was this issue regarding technical stuff with it's a sword scabbard. When you have to put in the scabbard a fourreau, c'est ça?
Yes, you unsheath in your scabbard.
And then you said, okay, so we need
Like a switchblade.
yeah, and so we had to create that, and then with the animation, I think it's Etienne that did the signature move, and
Together.
way.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, we have to just comment again on the contrast, because you have the ugly industrial oppressive stuff, and then you come into the very top where Burroughs Lighthouse or whatever, and there's all kinds of things we could talk about, the lore, King Sparrow Island, and having a King Sparrow feather you find on the roof somewhere. All those things are linked, but the contrast, suddenly you're in this beautiful area. It's amazing.
I mean, I start to feel a little bit what the gamers probably felt, because it's and I'm probably gonna do another playthrough on my own without shooting it or anything, because this is of course extremely distracting, but even that is enjoyable. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool actually. That's that the flow of the level. It feels such like a real place. The
You don't
architecture,
feel like
it's
something
amazing.
in the metal tower.
No.
There's a huge contrast.
Yeah.
I'm almost
It's
sorry.
yeah.
Oh,
There's the map on the table, right?
To put an empress on the throne will take years to grow up. And by the time she does, she'll be out.
So in low chaos, I think he's poisoned all of the other loyalists, so they're all dead.
Out of prison. Corvo hadn't been so damn good at his job. We hadn't gotten greedy and afraid.
In high chaos, you have to go kill them all, I think. But in low chaos, he's poisoned them. The story about how that one streamer was playing through the game early on while we were fixing the patch, and we would watch his progress. And when he got to this spot, he was playing very high chaos, and Havelock was holding Emily off the edge of the lighthouse, about to drop her. But here, you've got a very different situation. He's like in a room off to the side, and Havelock is here alone.
To sea. Took command of a ship.
I thought I was gonna get that
English
version.
men into sails. Made a collection of boats into a navy. Then
At some point, Corvo had a bow. If you remember, in the beginning, there was a bow, and then we realized that he needed, he couldn't use a weapon with two hands because he always need the free hand with the powers. So it created the crossbow, and it was fucking cool.
Yeah.
He had a blowgun at some point.
A blowgun, that's right,
Oh,
he did have a blowgun.
blowgun, yeah.
That was that point.
I thought you were gonna
Jean-Luc
bring back the
raised
leaf
it.
blower from our
Yeah.
Half-Life extension.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for that
This-
idea.
This point that Jean-Luc raises, we had to defend this idea over and over because people naturally, intuitively, the same way Gael was saying, people want lots of rewards. And when you imagine if you got up the stairs, it popped up and said, 0.15% of the community has made it to this spot. It's all bullshit, right? It's distracting. But in that same way, there's very comfortable stuff people ask for. Like, oh, let me put whatever I want in the left hand and the right hand so I could have two pistols or whatever. And we said, no, you always need the sword so that if you turn around and there's a split second to assassinate a guy, you can do it. And if he swings at you, you can split second, you can block it. And you can also have the spell that you want ready to go at any point. And that is really, that constraint is what enables the good, quick, improvisational sword fighting and stealth, assassination, and the spells, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Plus,
a lot of
it thematizes a little bit more the hero. So basically, like, it's one of its
Yeah, it's one of
remarkable.
these little recognizable things. I want to say the amount of discipline and consistency that it takes for the level designers to allow for the player to play in different ways, including committing to a ghost playthrough where you don't kill anyone. That's the reason why we put the key right to Emily in a way that is you don't have to kill Havelock in order to open her, right?
Who is that? Admiral Havelock? Corvo! I knew you.
I wanted to see more. I wanted to go upstairs.
Going to be okay now?
Is that gonna be the end?
Will I be Empress?
Am I the Empress? Man, that brought tears to my eyes, honestly. Like, we were just world building at every turn. Even the bottles of booze on the shelf, the maps, all of that. There's a little outsider scene here. That's the one thing maybe we should watch. I don't know.
Let me. I just wanna reload. I wanna. Oh shit! I'm still here. Hold on, where? Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna do it again then.
Raphael, one save slot Colantonio.
And also the animals trophies are animals that come from the Pandician continent
The talents
to enlarge the lore.
That was our first attempt to going really far, talking about the islands and what to bring, in Dunwall.
The
So
unknown.
I think it was easier, but those animals, it was funny. At some point, we had some really, really weird animals that was too Star Warsy, but those are just cool enough in terms of shapes and not too crazy from another world. So because when you want to do something that's never seen before, sometimes you go really cheesy. That's what happened to the mask in some, when we say monkey and stuff, we were like, yeah, we do the mask, never seen before, and it was like, some steps were really, really painful. Yeah. But in the end, we did the job. But when you want to change too much, and don't rely on history or designs and stuff, you go too much into sci-fi. I got the feedback from Raph sometimes where it was, man, maybe it's too much, or from Harvey, and that's good to hear from other people, because sometimes you don't step back on your own work. You're just like, wow, that's cool, huh? I'm doing crazy shit, and but then it goes so far, and it doesn't fit the world, anymore. So yeah,
I feel like I learned so much working with you guys about art, but also about marketing and about player psychology. Because when you make something, I mean, you guys taught me this. When you make something and somebody looks at it and they go, monkey, it looks like a monkey. No matter what you do, they're going to say, a monkey.
Exactly.
I remember you guys telling stories about Dark Messiah, where you said, everyone said on the cover of the box, it looked like one of the orcs from Lord of the Rings. And I was like, yeah, of course, it is. You guys totally ripped that off. And Rap was like, no, we didn't. Go look at the box. And we looked across the room. There was a box on the shelf, and I looked at it, and it's not the hook sword, and it's not the same orc. It's totally different. But in my brain, all I saw was the Lord of the Rings orc every single time.
Yeah.
And you can't. That's going uphill. You can't escape that. If 10 people say it, it's fucking true. They're always gonna see it.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think we've talked enough about the audio of this game with your brother, Meet.
Yeah.
It's such a. I like that sound right now that we are hearing. It's really.
He did a crazy job
so
because
high.
it was him mainly, I think, doing everything.
Yeah.
Some outsource at some point, I guess, to help.
There was Daniel Licht, of
Well-
course. There was a little bit
Yeah.
of Toff.
Yeah, exactly. Have you talked about the voice and the actors? And
Yeah. We covered the.
I was not involved in that, but
We put a lot of work into going to LA from France and like working for 2 weeks there to work with all the voice actors. And we would stop them and correct their pronunciation and explain, no, this isn't just some fantasy world. We don't want you to do this or that. Here's the character, here who they are, And so this is a good ending.
yeah.
Yeah, such a smart and way to have a cinematic that is actually pretty cheap, because there's no animation. Everything is paused. Everything is in
It's from The Crossing, I think. This idea of posing characters and
to introduce scenes, etc. Yeah, for presentations to the publishers and all that. It was a very nice way to, and it's.
Also, the Void was pan-India, so there was that idea that the Void was done using memories and stuff, so you don't always remember everything and all the context. So let's put some empty space, and it was a way to argument on this, to find ideas also.
And the music we hear, so that's of course Daniel Licht. The singer is the nephew of Daniel Licht. And unfortunately, I can't remember his first name, but he's Licht as well. And I remember from the get-go asking Daniel to do like a theme for the game, and then at the end the rock version of that same theme. And so that's the same tune basically, but rearranged and with the vocals, etc. So that was really a cool thing that he did, and with his nephew and all that.
I know it's a little emo, but man, it hits me in the heart when you see older Emily placing something on Corbo's tombstone or her mother's. I still feel it. It was an amazing experience working on all of this with you guys.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And I haven't seen these credits in a long time.
I know, right?
It's easy adventure. Good one.
Yeah.
This was from the VS, our vertical size was there.
Ah, the Pretty Corner.
Pretty Corner, yeah.
Ouais. And vehicles also, and because there was some horses at the beginning, and then as you can possess animals, so you can go outside of the map. So no horses. Okay, so how do they do to go to one point to another? So let's put some vehicles. Okay, but what are they using to go? It's yeah, so good.
I think we can be grateful and to be part of that experience. It took many miracles, set of conditions that came together for this to be possible. As we were in the middle of it, we probably did not realize as much as,
Yeah.
Harvey, you've been on a few big successes like that. For me, it was the first one. You were on Deus Ex, and then you were on Dishonored. I've had Dishonored. I've had Prey, which is very very praised as well by the gamers. But Dishonored was really a big success. That everything came together, as well as the sales, absolutely everything. And it's a game we can be truly proud of. And it was, in many ways, it was also healing at a personal level because we struggled so hard to get there. Right? Remember from the beginning of Arcane to trying to do the crossing and all the things that happen to us in the way, and people don't realize necessarily how that happens. But it was one step at a time. Where Arx Fatalis, a near success but not quite, and then Dark Messiah, I was like, yeah, but not quite there. And then working with Valve, meeting Victor, having at some point meet Sebastien here, that became the art director, which was kind of a leap of faith. We were not sure if it would work, and then everything came together, right? And of course, Harvey joined a little before that. There was the team was so ready. We were so well trained on the combats and things like that. Bethesda was with us. Someone believed in us. The money was there. Marketing understood the game, and they gave us the extra time at the end to make it right. It's just everything. Everything came together for this game, and so it's now it's with us forever.
Yeah, I think that's super well said, Raph, because by this point in my career, I had been fired for a game I worked on. I had projects canceled. I had friends walk out of the building carrying boxes from their desk, American style firing, not French style firing. And it was like, at one point, I remember joining Arcane, and I had so much fun all the way through the 16 years I was there. But at one point, I think we had 4 months of money left. That was it. And we somehow survived. We put people on like 8 projects, like Boom Blocks, Call of Duty. We had people farmed out to everything. You and I were working on pitches for another publisher, and then suddenly the window opened for this project. And we've talked before about how first maybe it was going to be Blade Runner, maybe it was going to be The New Thief, but it ended up being Dishonored. And then from that point forward, we never looked back. Just fantastic. Sometimes painful, but very, very good.
Yeah, stressful maybe, but a good stress, I guess. That's what we call good stress. We started before the acquisition by ZeniMax, right?
Yeah.
And when we got during the acquisition, I was like, okay, it's the first star or the second star, because the game was really cool. So the second star, and we were talking about stars alignment, all the way to when we ship the game. To me, yeah, this game is a milestone in our career, in my career, for sure. But all the other were the premise of this game, Dark Messiah.
It was training.
It was training, but
It was
hard
practice.
training. Practice, quite cool stuff. Really great people. Gael, I forgot you were producing on, at the start of the Dishonored. I was like, you.
Yeah, I was there. I was there for all the very difficult times.
Yeah,
Okay, so I thought, like, Jean deserves it so much.
yeah.
Looking at the
But
crossing.
still, your DNA is there, so still.
Yeah.
No, everyone we met at Arcane are already part of the product in the end.
we were lucky enough to work with Victor, and I think it was something like another star,
Yeah.
another star alignment, and he learned us so much without being the guy that he was always listening to Seb, and Seb was really the art director, and Victor was kind of mentor, godfather like this, but always listening to the art director, and I was the witness of that, and I was the lucky witness. I was the third man, and I saw that. And it was so fucking cool. And at some point, Seb said to me, "Oh man, seriously, maybe it's the only time of our life that someone is asking us to create something from us, from what we have in the."
Yeah. Without
We are
compromise. Yeah. It was us. Yeah. And it's interesting because Victor gave us some wings, we would say in French. I don't know if it's an English expression as well.
breath of fresh air. Yeah,
He
we've
was,
changed the way the games were done
yeah,
before.
and he was like giving us so much confidence because we knew there was an attractive quality to Victor that publishers, when they knew Victor was with us, they were, oh my God, you guys are Victor. Like it was like the best thing we could have done. And and he had that confidence one day that we laughed about almost because it was too much. He said something, I'm sure Sebastien will remember better than me, but it said something like, well, there was Star Wars, there was Dark City, and now there is Dawnwall. And he said that in a
I
meeting.
have the PowerPoint. I have the PowerPoint.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he said that in
that's
a
what it is.
meeting with I don't know if
I know
Robert
there's
was
demo.
there. Yeah, and I don't know if he said that in front of the executive of Zenimax or whatever, but we were like, right, yeah.
Yeah, I think something I share with you, Raph, is that we've kind of always been neurotic. There's always been an anxiety at the heart of us. And when I meet somebody who is just like, you meet Victor, he is like fashionably dressed, he is professional. He could walk into a room in Paris with all the like fashion designers or artists in the world, and he would be confident. He's got those big glasses on. He would say something intelligent, and everybody would be like, wow. And yet he could also sit down at a table with us making video games or getting a car heading across LA to go to some trade show or whatever and laugh and be very, and it just like, I've never had that level of confidence, like just to be able to walk into a room and radiate. I'm sure it was the secret to much of his success, but also there was talent there. There was knowledge of art and talent. It was really a great guy. I was going to say, if you switch away from the game view, like this game put such a mark on my life. Like I have this dog that I was trying to share the other day, and it's breaking apart. The tail broke off. It's not very solid now. It's the one ear is gone, but these things are this so different than when we first talked about a dog. It's like it almost looks like a weasel, it's like so I love it so much. And we also have the Dunwall archives, which I've never worked on a project before where we didn't just do an art book. We did one later. We also did a lore book. And it has so many little sketches from Jean-Luc, and it has lore notes, and it has the maps, and it has the paintings from Cedric and all these other people. Just like amazing. And to me, this felt more like what was appropriate for us than just a straight art book because it has all the lore notes. And Jean-Luc, I remember how you do this cover, right?
Yeah.
And it was just like beautiful black and white reflection, high chaos, low chaos, the industrial silhouette. I love this book so much. I have it on my shelf,
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Even the ads that are in here from all the 1850s companies and stuff, just like amazing, man.
Yeah, from Amy, it was so cool, and plus it was everything was in the lore. It did a lot of storytelling. Even in Dishonored, when we put the posters to fight the blood flight plague, the Duke to tell that he's a real bastard. He put a lot of money printing some huge poster, really well done. It cost a lot, and then we put a stamp on it like it's cancelled. So he threw away all the money, and he canceled the stuff. So this, well, this guy is a bastard. So, and it was just a way to create a character like this to say, okay, it's bastard, and without saying it or without subtitles or insisting.
This beautiful blood fly program where we like are trying to help the citizens against the blood fly plague, but canceled. And it's just funny because in the United States right now, we have had recently attacks on science. We have the cancer projects canceled, vaccine projects canceled. It feels like weirdly similar, but I was gonna say we didn't talk enough about Ame because man, that guy, for a humble artist just working in the background on Mitmit's team.
Incredible artist. Aime is incredible. And we don't have it. So
Yeah, all the maps. Yeah, the maps are very great.
maps was pain in the ass.
That's
I remember, yeah, we should save this for the Dishonored 2 playthrough, but at the end of that cinematic Raph just got, the High Chaos one, we echo Corvo standing behind Emily's throne. We have this painting from Victor, I think it was Victor, where
From Sergei.
Sergei, yes, it was Sergei, yeah, Kolsov. But the weird industrial throne that's so beautiful, and Emily's on the throne, and Corvo's behind it in a menacing way. And when we did the map, we took Ame's map, and we wanted a jeweled version of the Empire of the Isles. And so in Dunwall Tower, places you weren't able to go in the first game, we put the map on the wall, and we had gems for each of the cities. And I still think about this. This map is so beautiful. I would love a metal version of this map. And it was incredible. And so Ame touched lots of little things across the game.
Yeah.
Well,
So
maybe there
you
would be a playthrough of Dishonored 2. I don't know. I don't know if
You have
this
to.
if this series
You have
goes
to.
well. Maybe.
I'll be first.
All right,
No, you
guys.
have to put honestly the extension of the
And the
world.
DLCs and everything. It's
It's a lot to cover, but it's so great to talk about this because there's
Yeah.
so much love.
Well, it will. It's time consuming, as you can tell,
Yeah.
to do that. But we'll see. You know, if people really dig them, then we might do it again.
I'm sure.
Okay.
Thank you so much for everything.
it's-
not just for being
It's time
here.
for if it doesn't take off, it's time for Raph's OnlyFans.
Yeah, I'm ready. I guess. Yeah, we're gonna do that.
Number two ready.
Yeah.
All right, thanks everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks everybody.
Bye.
Ciao.